Some breaking news right now. The Kremlin says there may be a possibility for a prisoner swap involving jailed journalist Evan Gershkovich. A Kremlin spokesperson says that the U.S. and Moscow have touched on this issue, but it would need to be done out of the public eye, which is an interesting caveat. The news comes a day after U.S. Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy met with Gershkovich in Moscow. According to the ambassador, he is in good health and remains strong given the circumstances. He's been detained in a Russian prison since March after being arrested on espionage charges for allegedly trying to obtain classified information. Here with me now, retired U.S. Army Major General William Enyart. Thank you for being with us on this 4th of July. And this news just coming into the newsroom. First of all, your reaction. This could be a major break for Evan Gershkovich and his family. I also wonder about Paul Whelan's case, the other American still in Russian custody.
Well, happy 4th to you, Marni. It's interesting that the Kremlin is making this announcement now, particularly today on the 4th of July. The Russians are very big on symbolism, so it's quite interesting that they would pick today to make that announcement. It makes me question, who do the Russians want to get back, or what do they want to get? Are we holding someone that they view as being an equivalent swap? Will it take more than one person? Would it take perhaps some kind of deal getting prisoners held in Ukraine back, which would further tie the U.S., of course, to Ukraine? So a lot of options at play here, but I think it's certainly a positive development. And of course, these negotiations always take place behind closed doors. It's not until the deal is cut that the announcement is made. So it's kind of like buying a new pickup truck. You and the dealer have got to get to the stage where you agree on a price, and we don't know yet today what Russia's price is going to be.
Are there any high-profile names being floated around? We know in the prisoner swap with the WNBA star Brittany Griner, Victor Bout was the swap, the merchant of death. Are you hearing any names floated as possible potential prisoner swaps?
We've certainly not heard any to date, and I suspect the Russians are playing their cards awfully close to the vest, as would the Biden administration. You don't want to give any information away that might give an advantage to the other side. What you do have to get to is a point where each side believes they're getting fair value for the trade.
Let's talk about Russia a little bit more here. There is an AP report that suggests NATO's view on Russia has shifted. Russia's armed forces, they say, bruised but by no means beaten by the war in Ukraine. A top NATO military officer said that they might not be 11 feet tall, but they are certainly not 2 feet tall. How would you analyze NATO's stance on Russia right now?
You know what NATO is doing? The NATO planners are looking to the future. They're not looking at just today. And let's remember that Russia suffered a disastrous loss to Japan in the Russo-Japanese War of 1905. Then they went on to have a further really devastating loss in World War I, where the Russian army revolted, dropped their weapons, and fled the front to revolt against the government, and due largely to the incompetence and corruption of their leadership. And it appeared during World War II that they were on track to a similar loss. But they managed to hold on with staggering losses, I might add. And with the Allies, they beat Nazi Germany and wound up then ruling Eastern Europe through the Warsaw Pact for nearly 5 decades. So although, as NATO leadership points out, although virtually the entire Russian army is tied up in or near Ukraine, their Air Force, the Navy, and certainly their nuclear forces have not really been compromised at all. As I might add, has been their intelligence services, which are still at full force. So we need to remember, too, that most militaries learn best from their losses. But it remains to be seen whether the Russians will learn from their losses in Ukraine. I think to do so on their part would require a sea change in military and political culture, which we just haven't seen yet.
What do you make of the new plans? NATO wants to have 300,000 troops ready to move on the eastern flank within 30 days.
Well, frankly, that's a bit of a stretch. That's a huge increase from where we are today.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.